Hello and welcome to the Webcast for Monday, December 30th. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. Visible satellite this morning shows a few high clouds streaming through, as well as areas of low clouds and some dense fog over portions of both the Central Valley and the South Coast. The marine layer has deepened this morning, but we will see those coastal low clouds gradually erode through the morning and midday hours. Meanwhile, we'll likely see a further increase in those high clouds. Overall, today will be a pretty quiet day. Here's a look at the forecast high temperatures. We'll see highs in the 60s to low 70s for the Southern California valleys, but much cooler across the Central Valley. Here's a look at our overnight humidity recovery from last night. This is pretty interesting. You can see a lot of really high numbers with that deeper marine layer. However, if you look close, there's also a few very low numbers interspersed in the mountains, and those are legitimate, with mountain areas above about 5,000 feet seeing very poor recoveries last night. So going into today, most areas will see minimum humidity above 25%, but there will be some localized, much lower values in the high terrain of Southern California. We're really looking at a pretty uneventful weather pattern this week. A weak inside slider trough will pass east of the region today into early Tuesday. Then a ridge of high pressure will build in from later Tuesday through Thursday, keeping our weather dry and bringing a warming trend. As that inside slider passes to our east, we'll see a little bit of offshore flow develop this week, but an emphasis on just a little bit. What once looked like a weak to at most moderate Santa Ana event has really vanished. Some localized north to northeast winds of 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts to 30 miles per hour will occur in the mountains and through the passes of Southern California from tonight all the way through Wednesday or Thursday. However, those winds are quite light, and true Santa Ana wind conditions are not expected this week. There are some localized fire weather watches and red flag warnings in effect for portions of LA and Ventura counties, but I want to emphasize it's extremely unlikely that red flag criteria will be met this week. We'll see if the Weather Service decides to drop these products today or tomorrow. They tend not to like to do that once they've already been issued, but again, this is not a significant fire weather event. We will see a warming trend, however, thanks to the building ridge and the light offshore flow. Here's a look at the forecast highs by Thursday, with 70s to near 80 degrees returning to the warmer Southern California valleys. And it will get quite dry this week as well. Take a look at the forecast minimum RH values by Wednesday. RH in the single digits and teens will become common over Southern California. And so combined with the warmer temperatures and localized breeziness, there will be some pockets of elevated fire weather conditions during the middle of this week, mainly in those most wind-prone corridors. Weather models are now showing a pretty strong trough pushing into Northern California late this week towards about Friday. This is a new development and would bring another significant round of precipitation to Northern California late this week, with showers now looking more likely at least north of a Monterey to Fresno County line on Friday and Friday night. If these trends continue, rain could make it even further south than that, but I won't place my bets on that quite yet. But there will be several degrees of cooling and some increase in humidity Friday and Saturday as that system moves through. A period of breezy westerly winds is also likely over the ridges and passes Friday and Saturday, with speeds of 20 to 30 miles per hour and gusts to 50 miles per hour possible. But perhaps the biggest takeaway from this forecast is that, barring a real miracle with that late week storm, there is still no rain in sight over Southern California, with warmer and drier than normal conditions looking likely to continue perhaps at least into mid-January. And while it's early on, I will say I'm a little concerned about next week, as this pattern shown here looks quite a bit more favorable for Santa Ana wind potential than the relatively benign pattern of this week. Obviously, plenty of time to watch next week's forecast, but something to keep an eye on. We've seen some recent increases in fuel moisture, though still mainly only in Central California. Most of Southern California is still near to below normal across all classes of dead fuel moisture, and we'll see some substantial drops in dead fuel moisture, especially the finer fuels, from Tuesday to Thursday this week as those low RHs move in. And it pretty much goes without saying at this point that there will be no relief in our live fuel moistures over Southern California as we continue to hover near seasonal minimums. But despite that gloomy state of affairs, the potential for large fire really will be pretty low this week due to the lack of wind. While localized elevated conditions are likely over the most wind-prone corridors of Southern California, critical conditions are not expected. Expect light initial attack activity through the next 7 days. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one and the last one for 2024 will be on Tuesday, December 31st.